Hello there, welcome back to Science Flixtion. My name is Salim Suterwalla, and as always, I'm joined by Carl Eames, and we have a very special guest tonight, Joe Mandel. Joe, Carl, how are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, doing great, man. Excited to talk some Obi-Wan with you guys. I'm the resident Star Wars nerd here, me and Vinny Parisi, so excited to talk Star Wars with you.
Yeah, what's going on, guys? Going on, Chad? Hello, Cliff. Good to see you all. Welcome back to another episode of Science Flixtion. We got Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars tonight.
That's right, and I know there's a couple of people that tune in randomly that were asking about Star Wars conversation. So hopefully they're listening tonight. But in general, after we get done with talking about Kenobi, we'll field general questions as well about any sci-fi, Marvel, DC, or whatever related questions that people might have. But yeah, let's get into Star Wars and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Joe and myself saw the show. Carl has not. He hates Star Wars. He despises it. So he's just not a big Star Wars guy. He doesn't hate it. He just doesn't watch much Star Wars stuff. I'm lukewarm on Star Wars. Like, I watched the movies. I haven't watched Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett, and I haven't actually seen. So I haven't seen Solo, and so the only I said I watched all the movies. So I watched like the regular movies. Like the first, the original three, the three prequels, and the three post or continuous ones. I've seen those.
The sequel.
What I haven't, sequel trilogy. I don't know what you would call that. But I haven't seen the Rogue One and Solo.
What?
Those are the only ones. Yeah, I haven't seen those. Just because. Yeah, I just never got around doing it. I have access to them. I'll check them out, I'm sure, at some point. I watch random movies all the
Salim,
time.
your number one homework is to go see Rogue One. It's amazing.
Okay. Okay. I'll check that out. I'll check that out for sure. But yeah, we're going to talk Obi-Wan Kenobi. Before we do, as always, we're going to go ahead and play the full official trailer just so people can get a feel for it.
They're coming. Stay hidden, or we will not survive.
Leave us alone.
When the time comes, he must be trained.
Like you trained his father? You still want Kenobi. He's gone.
Maybe you've been looking in the wrong places. I want every lowlife and bounty hunter to squeeze him.
Yes. Good
So
stuff,
yeah,
man.
that was the official trailer for Obi-Wan Kenobi. So first, Joe and myself are going to give our thoughts on the series. I'll go first just because mine is not going to be as in depth. I think Joe will probably have a little more to say. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun series. I really like. It was funny. I loved the little girl that they got for Leia because like I totally pictured like um the way like has her as an adult because like the way she was acting, her mannerisms and stuff. That's Leia. like you know
To a T.
very bossy and very like hard, like strong and fierce in a sense. Like she's not scared. She's not really scared of anything. Like she's like essentially kidnapped in a sense, and she's very composed and has everything herself together as a little kid. So like yeah, that's Leia. She's like she knows she's in danger, but she knows that she can't just panic. So it was really cool seeing that. I thought that was a really good casting that they did. And it always amazes me not to get off Kenobi, but when they get little kids like that, it's like man, how that's so like crazy. Like how kids are able to like act that way and just be so talented in that regards and being like tiny little kids. When I was a little kid, I can't remember what I was doing. So it's just always interesting to see stuff like that. But yeah, I enjoyed the show. It was I feel like it answered like certain questions about how like what happened with Leia and Luke and why like Darth Vader didn't know about it, Anakin didn't know about them. It kind of answered what Obi-Wan was doing the whole time. I mean, we had a little understanding where he was, but we didn't really know like how he got there, why he like what he was really doing there in a sense, how he was able to hide there for so long without anyone like finding him. I did think it also at the same time while it answered some questions, it kind of opened up some holes and which I'll get into later because I have some questions for Joe and a little bit later as we progress on. But yeah, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was a fun show. So yeah, Joe, go ahead and give us your thoughts on like what you liked, disliked, and everything in between.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I loved every single second of it. I think Star Wars fans are the pickiest bunch of fans in the world. I mean, we got so much good content here. They showed us what Obi-Wan was doing. They showed us what could possibly pull him away from watching Luke. Well, it's his buddy Bail Organa. Bail Organa calls him to help find Leia. And then, of course, for whatever reason, Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers decides to kidnap her. That was the weirdest casting of everything. But he does look like a creeper, so I guess that would make sense. I love how they did the flashbacks with Obi-Wan and Anakin. They showed Clone Wars stuff. They showed how Obi-Wan knew he could beat Anakin. We'll get into some of this stuff later on in the show, but we even got to see some Force ghosts of some old pals. For me, it's everything you could ever want. And Star Wars fans that said they don't like it, I just think that they're being hyper picky. Ewan McGregor was fantastic. The whole cast was fantastic. And the Reva character was a character that I actually enjoyed. So, if you didn't like Reva, then too bad for you because I thought the story really fleshed out really well.
Yeah, like I said, it was entertaining. For me though, like I opened up some questions, and I want to ask you these questions because I think you might be able to get more in depth and understanding and an answer on them. So, so after everything happens in this show, we know they figure out where Obi-Wan is because Reva is persistent, and then it's just uncovered and where they find out that he's on Tatooine. So, like, my question is, like, how is it safe for Obi-Wan to return there at the end? Like, how is it, like, because everyone is so, like, the dark side is, they're also prevalent, obviously. I don't understand how he's just able to get back there and it being okay, essentially.
Yeah, Salim. So you broke up a little bit for me during that question. I apologize
Oh.
for the internet, but you're talking about the return to Tatooine, right? That's what we're
Yeah,
talking about.
right. Like, how is Obi-Wan able to just get back there with him being safe and everyone and just being like, oh yeah, it's just old Ben and it's not not a former Jedi and.
Well, I think the reason it happened, right, is because you see that scene at the end of the show, and spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, but you see that scene where you have Vader saying he's going to go after Kenobi, and the Emperor's like, "Don't let that cloud your judgment. Forget about Kenobi. Do I have to worry about you?" And he's like, "No, no, Master. I'll focus on the task at hand." So basically, it's him just saying, "Okay, I'm going to forget about Ben Kenobi and focus on the stuff to make me a stronger Sith." And I think that's the reason, is because they're like, "Okay, forget about Ben Kenobi."
Okay, that kind of makes sense. Now, before I move on to my next question, so Q from Cincy, I know you said you're not a big Star Wars guy, you're going to stick around, but after we're done with Star Wars, we're just going to open it up for general questions about any sci-fi, Marvel, DC, whatever you might have in your mind. So after we're done talking about Obi-Wan, we are going to open it up to you guys, the listeners, to see if you have any thoughts or questions as well. But yeah, so the next question I wanted to ask you, so we know Vader is like he's not a very forgiving person. Like he'll kill people for coughing when he's talking, like or something, right? So what I did to get is why, and obviously there's probably more reason to it later on, but like in that moment, why do you think he doesn't kill Reva? Like when they're fighting and he beats her, like what? And then like, what do you think is going to happen to her after the fact? Because you kind of also leave an open story for her. Like, is this like a prequel to a prequel? Like in a prequel to. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's part of why they left Reva alive, right? So, like, to answer your first question about the Vader fight, Vader's toying with her, basically just saying, like, I know every move you're making, I know what you've been doing from the start. He literally cracks her saber in half and stabs her with half of it, and just kind of tosses it and just is like, "Here, I beat you." And the thing that the only slightly annoying thing for me is that it seems like a lightsaber through the stomach doesn't kill anybody anymore, because that's how Qui-Gon died in Episode 1. So, apparently she survived somehow, but nonetheless, he just toyed with her, and magically she got to hear the little force project, or what was it? The little hologram of where the kids are, and specifically Luke. But obviously everything played out the way it did. And I think they leave Reva in a place where she can redeem herself and maybe help more Force sensitives, or add her as a character potentially in The Mandalorian as an older character that's going to help a Force sensitive. If, say, she survived, maybe she's part of Luke's new temple. Maybe she becomes a Knight of Ren. I mean, there's a million different possibilities. They kept her alive for a reason. Maybe they're going to make more books about it because, the Star Wars universe, you can't get everything from just watching a movie or a show. You got to read the books. There's a lot of good ones at that. I can give you recommendations if you guys want them, but
yeah, go for it. Like tell people, let the listeners know what they should maybe look at, read, or things like that.
Yeah, so if you're big into the sequel trilogy, like The Force Awakens and stuff, they just put out a book that takes place between the Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens about Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian. It's called Shadow of the Sith. I have not finished it yet, but it's good so far. It kind of fills the gaps. If you're going back in time, there's a great Anakin and Kenobi story during the Clone Wars called Brotherhood that just came out. Highly recommend that. And then 2 other recommendations: Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. It's about Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon when he was just a Padawan. So that's a really interesting read. And then last but not least, if you're big into Darth Vader, and most people watching this show love Darth Vader, like ass-kicking Darth Vader, Sith Darth Vader, there's a book called Lords of the Sith, where it's basically him and Emperor Palpatine just going around killing people and using Force lightning, and it's pretty sweet. So those are my recommendations.
Excellent. Yeah. So next question I have.
Actually, Slim, can you, if you don't mind, can we backtrack a second? Just
sure.
for those people who are like myself and don't know a whole lot about Star Wars, or who have not watched the show or maybe glossed over it a bit, could we explain who Reva is and just like what's her role, her purpose, like what does she do in the show?
Yeah,
What is
sure.
what this character is?
I could take it, Salim, if you would like.
Yeah, go ahead. You're our Star Wars genius. So let's get your thoughts.
Geez, that's far too kind. But so Reva is a Sith Inquisitor, which essentially after the Return of the Jedi, when the Empire, or I'm sorry, I'm going in the wrong direction. I'm after Revenge of the Sith, when Order 66 was executed. That's basically when all the troopers turned on the Jedi, killed all the Jedi. Darth Vader and the Emperor put together these group of Sith Inquisitors, which are Force-sensitive. They're basically like dark Jedi, but obviously they're on the dark side of the Force. And they basically hunt down and kill Jedi. So Reva is an Inquisitor, and she is set out on a mission, and she's pretty much intent the entire time about going after Ben Kenobi and killing him. So that's who Reva is. She's an Inquisitor, and they're hunting Jedi.
Okay.
So another question to that, like they call her the third sister, right?
Mm-hmm.
What? So is there like this is probably a stupid question? Is there a first sister, second sister? Because they don't really show those 2 characters. Like, why is she the third sister?
Yeah, there's all different numbers of Inquisitors. The first brother, first sister, so on and so forth. We got to see a couple of them in the show.
Oh,
you guys lost me.
No,
Am I back?
You're good.
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, cool. Yeah, so you get to see a handful of them throughout the show, and then if you watch the Clone Wars series, you get to see not Clone Wars, I'm sorry, Rebels. You get to see a lot more of that as well. So there is one. I don't even know how many there are. I should. I'm not that deep invested, but I know that there's a lot.
That's all right. We won't hold it against you for not knowing every single one of them.
My buddy Vinny in the chat might know. I don't know.
Well, if he knows, maybe he can pop the in the chat and we'll have an understanding. But
sure.
yeah. So the last question I have is, so I kind of understand why he doesn't kill Darth Vader, but in that sense, like, it didn't make sense to me, and that's probably the one issue I had with the show is when Obi-Wan in the end beats him again. That's Anakin, that is. And he doesn't kill him. Like, I could understand if he still thinks Anakin is still there, but like, and spoiler again, he himself, Darth Vader himself, said Anakin is dead. You didn't kill him. I killed him. He's gone. There's no redeeming quality left in me. He just says that, and so that tells everyone that he's far gone. He's not coming back. In a sense, and at least at that moment. And they show Obi-Wan again beating him just the way he beat him in the third episode 3. So what I don't get is, like, I feel like maybe they shouldn't have had that happen. Like, why would he just kill him? Like there, I don't get it. Like that's like why wouldn't he just finish him off, and that could solve like so many issues.
Sure.
But like he lets them live. Like I just don't get like what could be like the Obi-Wan thinking in that moment. I'm not gonna kill him. I have him beat, but I'm not gonna kill him.
Yeah, man, it's a big question, right? And I think it focuses a lot on the character of Obi-Wan. Well, first and foremost, the reason is because this series wouldn't exist if Obi-Wan killed
Certainly,
Vader.
certainly.
So
that's the obvious one. But like I'm talking about more so like an understanding why.
Yeah,
he
for
wouldn't
sure.
do it.
And logic wise, I think it's because exactly what we just talked about. It's because Vader says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." And what has Obi-Wan been looking for all these years? He's been looking for closure. He's had that guilt that he killed Anakin, and he didn't kill Anakin. He finds out that Vader doesn't see it that way, right? And he beats Vader and puts him in his place, and is like, he beat him so handily. I just think it's Obi-Wan saying, I'm getting my closure here. And he goes, I beat him to the point where he's going to have to cower and kind of shut down. Maybe that's what he thought was going to happen. But most of all, Obi-Wan wanted that closure. So for me, him hearing that from Anakin was enough. And he didn't want to kill him for what he thinks would be a second time. So I think there's a lot of like mental psychosis that goes in there to a certain extent, because he kind of had a PSD, if you will, for his situation from Revenge of the Sith. So he didn't want to live that over again. So I think he just got his closure and left.
Okay, that's fair. I'll throw another question at you here. It's kind of just a fun one that's not really overall about the show, but somebody had posted somewhere, and it had me thinking for a second. But my answer is pretty obvious. But between the world of Harry Potter and Star Wars, who is the most evil? Is it Lord Voldemort or Darth Vader?
Honestly, if you're asking me who's the most evil, I believe it to be Lord Voldemort. Because if anyone who knows Star Wars watches, Vader redeems himself at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Right.
And he had good in him the whole time. I don't think that Voldemort ever had any good in him across the whole, pretty much since he was a kid. So I'm going to go with Voldemort being the most evil. But in terms of being the most ruthless, I will go with Vader.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely agree in the most evil, because, like you said, there is a redeeming quality, because in the end, he does love his kids. If anything else, he feels for his son, he feels for his daughter, and like in the very last movie, in the end, he redeems himself and does something to save his son and his daughter, in a sense. Lord Voldemort doesn't have any family. He kills people to make sure he can live longer. He doesn't have any friends. He just has people that fear him. He doesn't have anyone that loves him. He has no one. He's alone. Like even in the movie, like Harry says, you're alone. Like no one's with you. They're just scared of you. So yeah, that's definitely. And someone posted it. The reason I'm asking, because somebody posted it as they're saying Lord Voldemort was the most evil, as some kind of hot take. Is like, well, yeah, that's obvious, right? That's he is.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of obvious.
Not really,
I mean, Vader, of course, is evil too, but
definitely. But there's some small part in him that has love in him, like in a sense. So.
Vinny makes a great point here in the chat. According to Dumbledore, the idea of love took Voldemort out for 13 years.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So,
yeah.
I mean, that's how evil he is. Like love defeated him, not the other way around, right? Like,
Yeah. Salim, all this Harry Potter talk has me excited. I'm going to see The Cursed Child on Broadway on Sunday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've heard really great things. That's one. I'm not a big musical Broadway guy, but like that's one show I want to watch just because I've heard like such great things about it.
Yeah, it's a play. There's no music, so I'm excited to see.
Oh,
that.
it's not. There's no music. Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Nope.
But yeah, I definitely want to see that. I've heard that they're thinking about making it into a movie too. I don't know if that was just a weird rumor or if that's actually going to happen at some point. Like bring back Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and who plays Weasley? Rupert Friend, yeah. Bring those guys back because it would make sense because they're old enough now in the sense that they can play like their real life character, like their characters, and the age would be fitting, and then they would cast like obviously just their kids and all that other stuff. Yeah, that's interesting to think about. I don't know how far that would go, but if they would actually make it, and obviously it'll do well because it's Harry Potter and just a huge fandom of that movie and that series. So they can make absolutely any nonsense about Harry Potter and people will just go watch it because it's that big of a draw at this point.
I will say The Secrets of Dumbledore was horrible. If you guys,
I did. So yeah, I haven't watched it yet, and I heard it was bad. I watched the first one, the first of the
Fantastic Beasts.
Fantastic Beasts. So I forget what it's called. It was okay, like it was entertaining, but like I wasn't like geeked out about it. Like, oh my man, I can't wait till the second one comes out. I cannot wait, and I didn't watch the second one. I think the Dumbledore, the Dumbledore one's the third one, right?
Yeah, and it's by far the worst. It's not even close.
Yeah. So I didn't really get into it either. It's who knows. Maybe I'll watch it one day. I tend to watch a bunch of bad movies. Like I have this habit of watching really bad Netflix movies. So I'll watch anything. Like literally, I will watch anything. So
nice.
Yeah, like Netflix has a bunch of these movies that are an hour and a half long, and they're just really bad. It's almost kind of like I make it into like you know that old show
Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Theater, yeah.
Oh,
and just watching it like this, just making fun of it, just like the dumbest thing in the world. I was watching. Okay, I'll tell you about one of the movies I was watching recently on Netflix. It was. I don't know if you guys know who Brenda Song is, but she is in that. Familiar. Yeah. So I was watching it, and she's basically a character that is she's like being like stalked and abused by this guy. She loses her memory in an accident, and this person that is pretending to be her husband takes her home after her accident. And there's one scene later in the show where she's at that point she's come to the realization that this guy isn't really my husband and he's bad, and so he ties her up and on the bed like on the ankle. And then they change scenes. You come back to the scene, and he's like, "Would you go to sleep? What the hell is that? Like, did you take a nap in the middle of you being tied up and captured? Like, what's going on?" That's such That's like the most random thing ever. Like, who does that? Like, who just takes a nap in their middle of the thing? I was so goofy. I was like, that is the goofiest scene ever. Like, it was dumb. But anyways, and. Any final thoughts on Star Wars or Obi-Wan? I should say, not Star Wars, but I mean in Star Wars as well. If you have thoughts,
yeah, man, I love the ending that they, again, spoiler alert, but Obi-Wan's riding off into the desert, and his old master Qui-Gon appears as a Force ghost. There's been a lot of conversation. Like, do they do a season 2? Do they end it? It was originally supposed to be a limited series. I think I'm fine either way, no matter what happens. It had a solid ending, but like I kind of want to see what Qui-Gon teaches Obi-Wan, how he can learn about becoming a Force ghost. Because, like, for anyone who's seen A New Hope, Obi-Wan lets Vader strike him down. He just lets him. He turns into a Force ghost. So, like, I kind of want to know, like, the thought process behind that decision. But then again, there's probably a lot to fill with a season 2, and I don't know if they have enough story for that.
That's fair. Yeah, just would be interesting. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see when Reva comes up next, because I'm sure there's another show that they're planning to do. Because she's just kind of there, and obviously she's not in any of the other movies. So there's somewhere along the line where she probably dies, I would imagine, or
Maybe,
who knows. Who knows? Like, because she's a character that's not in any of the obviously she's not in the prequels, the 3 prequels, and then she's not in the other 6 movies. So it's kind of like, where does she go? Like,
Sure.
There's an open story here. They gotta tell.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, it'll just be what?
Totally.
Like, why did they bring this character into the story if they're just gonna leave her?
I want to address a comment from Cliff in the chat. He says, "If I don't care if the series continues, how good was it?" I still think the series was really good. I'm just saying, as a Star Wars fan, me having a concrete ending, that's okay with me. But, like, deep in my soul, I kind of want to find out what happened next. So, like, for me, the series is like a 9.5 out of 10. I loved it. I just want more Star Wars. That's just the kind of guy I am. So, real quick, Salim, I want to backtrack for a second and talk about how you haven't seen Rogue One.
Okay.
Because it's hyper important, because at the end of August, the next Star Wars series, Andor, premieres, and that's about Cassian Andor, who's one of the main characters in Rogue One, and it's going to follow his days as a rebel spy. Really, really looking forward to that.
Okay, that makes sense. That's cool. That's something to look out for. And I'll definitely watch Rogue One since it's highly recommended by you. I'll definitely check that out. But I think that's enough Star Wars conversation we have now. Like I said, we're going to open up to the chat to see if any questions. I know Q from Cincy said he had a Daredevil question. So if you want to post your questions now, we'll go ahead and take them and answer and anything we can.
Now, while we're waiting on chat for questions and stuff, do you want to just keep some conversation going? For either of you, could you just answer this question? This Obi-Wan series, who is it for? Like, what audiences is for? Like, specific Obi-Wan Kenobi fans that just like love him and it's like only entertaining to them? Or is this like a general, if you love Star Wars, you have to watch this show sort of thing? Could you skip it? Could you get like the Cliff Notes version? Who is this show for?
I think this show is for the diehard Star Wars fan, the fan who has seen the original trilogy, the fan who has seen the prequels. You don't have to have seen the sequel trilogy, but you definitely want to see the originals and the prequels. This is for people that love Star Wars inside and out. It answers a lot of plot holes from A New Hope. Vader specifically says when he feels Obi-Wan's presence in the Death Star in A New Hope, he says, I haven't felt this presence since. And you're like, well, what did he feel the presence when you chopped you in half? That's probably not what you're talking about. So that's one. And then in Return of the Jedi, when Luke is trying to turn Vader back, he says, Luke says, you still have good in you, Dad. And Vader goes, Obi-Wan once thought as you do. How would you have known that? So now we got those answers. It's for the diehard Star Wars fan. Salim, I don't know what you think, but that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not a diehard fan, but like I said, I enjoyed the show. I don't know. I tend to be like pretty open-minded when it comes to sci-fi stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty open to it. But yeah, let's go into see what questions, if anyone has any.
Montez has a question. Who was the woman that saved Daredevil's life when he was found in the dumpster? We're talking about, it looks like season 2
It's
of
Rosario
Netflix
Dawson, right?
Daredevil. I can't remember off the top of my head those details because it's been a while.
I know, me
since I've-
too.
Yeah.
Right. So is that after? Is that start of is that start of season?
Season 2, maybe season 3.
Because season 3, I'll say this before we get into the question. Season 3, you have to watch Defenders before you watch season
Defenders.
3.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
Because a lot of what happens to Daredevil in that is explained in the Defenders, because a big part of, like, because Elektra, with the things with Elektra and things like that, is, and why he does what he does in season 3 kind of defines him. You should watch the Defenders before you watch season 3. Also, I'll say that. Now, and the person that saves them in the dumpster in season 2,
I think it would be season 3 because he was in the dumpster at the end of Defenders, wasn't he?
okay. Is it so? Q, let me ask you this: did you just start season 3, or are you done watching it?
Yeah, it sounds like he just watched season 2, then season 3, and didn't do Defenders. He probably didn't know. Yeah, because it was either a nurse or a nun or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
so it's the night nurse. So then there's Rosario Dawson's character, the night nurse.
Another Star Wars connection.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's who. Okay, yeah. So in season 2, then yeah, that's the night nurse. She's also in Luke Cage. So you see her more in Luke Cage, and basically the night nurse is a character that kind of helps, like, the heroes for hire. She does like when they have injuries and wounds and stuff, she like patches them up and things like that. So that's essentially who her character is, if you will.
And she was in all of the series too. Like she was in Jessica Jones, and I'm pretty sure she was in Iron Fist as well. But no one really cares about that one. But yeah, she was basically like she's basically like the Coulson of the Netflix Marvel, because she was popping around in everyone's series, and she was the connective glue. Like, oh yeah, this is the same universe because this character is also on that show, sort of thing. So. Yeah, that Rosario Dawson's character, the night nurse, Claire.
Yeah,
Something?
Claire. I forget her last name.
Her last name. Yeah, Claire. But yeah, she's in all of those shows. So she's basically connecting Daredevil to Jessica Jones to Luke Cage to Iron Fist, and then they all come together and do the Defenders, and then there was. Claire Temple, yeah. And then there was Daredevil season 3 and Luke Cage season 2 and Iron Fist season 2, Jessica Jones season 3, and was she in the Punisher? I don't think so, right?
No, she's not in the Punisher.
Yeah.
Karen Price is Paige. Karen Page is in the Punisher, but not Claire Temple.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cliff had a question.
Yeah, I saw you had a Star Wars question that I would be happy to answer.
It said, what Star Wars movie series do you guys rank the highest?
Salim, you want to go first or you want me to go?
So I still think the original 3 are the best movies. I feel like the prequels were like, yeah. And I'll say this: I did not like Hayden Christensen at all. Like, I just thought he was too whiny. I don't know if that's supposed to be Anakin, but like, he was just too whiny in the entire 3 movies. I did not like his casting as Darth Vader and Anakin. So I definitely, for me at least, like, and again, I'm not a huge expert in Star Wars, but for me, the best ones is Revenge of the my favorite is Revenge of the Sith, which is what the second episode.
Episode
Five?
3.
5.
Is episode 3?
Revenge of the Sith
Yeah.
is episode 3.
Yeah. Episode 3 is my favorite. Like overall, like that's like when the bad, like you rarely have the bad guys winning, right, in a movie. That's essentially that's always been something that stuck out to me. Like any movie that's ever been, the bad guy doesn't win. Like that's why that was like cool. Like in not to connect it, but the end game. Or not Endgame's Infinity War, the bad guy wins, right?
Sure.
It's that doesn't happen in movies. So yeah, that to me was cool, like in that sense. So I would say the third episode 3 is my favorite, and I definitely like the first original 3 movies the best.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So for me, I have a special place in my heart for A New Hope because that's the movie that kind of started it all for me. So. That's episode 4, the original Star Wars. Closely followed for me, it's episode 3, Revenge of the Sith is my second favorite. I just love the movie like you, Salim. Then it's Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, followed by episode 1, and followed by, well, I'm not going to put this, it's hard to rank the sequel trilogy. I loved them. In terms of the original ones, my least favorite is Attack of the Clones. It's just a little bit too long and
yeah, I heard. Like, I don't think anyone likes that one. I think there's like a general, like, there's rarely like a like among Star Wars like super fans like a general agreement. But it seems like in that everyone agrees that it's not good.
Yeah, I mean it had its purpose, right? So any Star Wars fan knows that Attack of the Clones, did so much universe building. Like it set up the TV show, it gave us other characters. That's what Attack of the Clones is for. I enjoyed the sequel trilogy, but for me, it's out of the realm of all that. Out of the sequel trilogy, I'm in the minority. I liked Return. What the heck is this last film called? Rise of Skywalker. I like that one the best out of them all. In terms of TV series, Cliff was asking about TV series, and you haven't seen this, Salim, but The Mandalorian to me is some of the best television you could ever watch. It's for the Star Wars fan that wants to know about Star Wars that's not about Jedi and all that. I mean, there is a certain extent, a little bit of that in there, but you get to see like the underworld. You get to see bounty hunters. It's everything you want to see in a series. So for me, that's the number one series to see. The second series, of course, is Obi-Wan. For me, I loved Obi-Wan. Don't get me wrong, but like I think what I liked about The Mandalorian is you saw stuff you never saw before. And then for me, last in the Star Wars series list is the Book of Boba Fett. It just wasn't great. I'm not saying it was bad. It just, not to give too much away about the show, but it basically, the most badass thing about Boba Fett is that he's a badass that likes to blow up stuff and shoot guys and hunt them down. They basically took that whole aspect away and they made him a good guy. So, that it was okay. But that's my ranking. Definitely watch The Mandalorian. You will not regret it.
All right, and my quick thoughts on that, because I do have a quick recommendations or whatever. Again, I've only watched basically episodes 1 through 8. I didn't watch the last the Rise of Skywalker. I did watch Rogue One, but technically I only really watched the last 30 minutes of it because I was really tired. I fell asleep in the theater and woke up in the last 30 minutes and watched Darth Vader kick butt. But for me, I really like A New Hope for whatever reason. I don't know why that movie is so special to me compared to all of the rest of them. It's just, I just thought it was, maybe it's the world building. It's the first movie. It just seemed really special. And then me being still, like, I actually watched A New Hope and all, episode 5 and 6 and stuff. And even the prequel, I watched all of them right before The Force Awakens came out in theaters. So I was able to get all of that in really quickly, and I still really like The Force Awakens because it's just like A New Hope to me. It's like
It's the
practically the
same
same
plot.
movie.
It's the
It's the
same
exact
plot.
same movie, right? So I like them both that way. So those are my two favorites.
I forgot to include Rogue One in my rankings. For me, it falls in just after Empire Strikes Back. So it's my fourth favorite Star Wars movie. That's how good it is. Go watch it.
Excellent. I'll definitely watch it now. I'll watch it. I'll make a point of watching it this weekend in general. I'll do that for sure. Just because you recommend it, Joe, and I'll let you know what I think after I watch it.
And message me. Yeah, you're going to love it.
I will for sure. Q had another question. Any updates on previews? Y'all can share that coming up. So starting tomorrow is San Diego Comic-Con. So tomorrow to Sunday, and they're supposed to drop teasers. I don't know if those will leak. Let's cross our fingers that somebody is like secret recording and they leak it, and then we can watch it before Disney puts the kibosh on the leak. But so it's Black Panther teaser supposed to be in that one. There's supposed to be I think a couple other. I think Carl, you knew on top of your head, right? Which ones?
Yeah,
Blade, right?
Officially, they're gonna have some footage of the X-Men animated series reboot, the
X-Men
Marvel
97.
Zombies, and the What If. Like they're gonna all the animation stuff for Disney Plus. They're officially gonna have that's been announced. Then the rumor is Black Panther 2. We'll probably see something on She-Hulk because that's the next Disney Plus series, and then they'll probably have more information or announcements on like Armor Wars and Secret Invasion. I think the Secret Invasion is the next series after She-Hulk, but they haven't officially said that. But that's what seems likely. And then I saw earlier today that on the DC side of things, that apparently Henry Cavill is going to be at Comic-Con, and they're going to bring him out and talk about him coming back as Superman, like officially,
nice.
finally, like in some capacity, probably like actually announcing that he'll have a Man of Steel 2 or something like that, because we haven't seen that, and we'll definitely talk about it if it happens, but we haven't seen him since 2017, and he hasn't had the Man of Steel movie. That was like 10 years ago, maybe
Forever
more.
ago.
So yeah, that's it
Carl,
for
real
those
quick,
two.
have you heard the rumors about the Blade casting that has been floating around the internet?
Was that today?
Apparently-
Something leaked?
It's a leak. We're going to leave it as a grain of salt, but if you guys don't mind, I will say,
Yeah, go ahead.
Anthony Starr, of course, Homelander from The Boys, is rumored to be playing Dracula, the villain in Blade.
Oh yeah,
So
I actually heard that because
Cool.
he was rumored to met with MCU about a role, and people thought that it might be to do something with Fantastic Four. That was one of the rumors, that he's going to be Reed Richards, but then that kind of was just a weird rumor. But yeah, that one makes sense because. Yeah, that definitely would make a little more clear sense that he could play that role. I could see him in that too. He's like it just like he's one of those characters, or like people, the actors, like you see him on The Boys as Homelander, and then like when you see him in interviews, it's like, man, this is like, and obviously acting, everyone acts, but it's just like a clear like a difference, and like you can see that you can probably tell this guy probably has range as far as the things that he could probably act, because there's certain people, like I'll say, like no offense to Chris Pratt, but when he's acting, there's still Chris Pratt in there, right? Like when you see him on doing interviews and when he's acting, there's kind of a Chris Pratt, like that's Chris Pratt, but he's kind of acting. But him, it's just like, yeah, when he's playing Homelander, like it's completely different than anything, and like I can totally see him being someone that has like massive amount of range as an actor, and yeah, it would be interesting to see him do like different roles and things like that to see like how he does. If you kind of get what I'm saying, as far as like,
sure,
when you see people, like you can tell, like, yeah, okay, this guy is, not to say Chris Pratt's a bad actor. I'm just saying like. It's still Chris Pratt. You can tell in the role that's Chris Pratt, the way he behaves. but it's but yeah, that's really interesting to me. But yeah, I think in Black Panther in general, I feel like we should get a general trailer at some point because the movie's only 4 months away. So you figure it maybe even in like a month they would probably release the teaser to the movie because it's not that far away from the actual movie. But then again, they did wait like forever to release trailers for Thor: Love and Thunder, and then also for No Way Home. They waited such a long time to release a trailer, so they may just do one of those things where they just make fans go crazy for a trailer until they are about to lose it, blow up, and then one day, a month before the movie comes out, they'll release a trailer. I don't know. Any other questions that people have? Anything else that we see?
Yeah, I don't see any new ones.
I see Cliff has said he needs to see the new Black Panther actor, but I just want to clarify they did not recast Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, they're
just want to point that out.
Out of respect, yeah, they're not going to recast King T'Challa. I don't know if you meant Prince Namar, Cliff, the new guy that they got to play the antagonist. But yeah, we showed a concept drawing of him last episode. Yeah. So, which Catherine has a question. Which movie was better, No Way Home or Endgame? So I'm biased in this because I'm just the biggest Spider-Man nerd, and I'll go in No Way Home. I love No Way Home is my favorite MCU movie, and it's levels to it too because I feel like No Way Home finally brought Spider-Man back to what he's supposed to be, a character that I always say, like, for every win that he has, he takes like 2 massive losses. And he struggles. Like, there's struggle for him. Things aren't just like easy for him to do. Of all the comic book heroes, like, he's the guy that can't pay rent. He's a guy that's failing from school because he has this obligation, with great powers come great responsibilities to do the right thing and save people and be a hero. And obviously there's, various things that they go in more in depth in the comics about it being kind of where it also becomes, they kind of show how it also becomes like an addiction for him to be Spider-Man. But yeah, to me, like No Way Home was my favorite to me. So that's my thoughts. But I'll let you guys obviously pick yours.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Carl. It's all you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Between the two, I mean, both movies, they're both pure fan service. Like,
yeah.
Endgame is, you've been watching 20 of our movies for the last 10 years. We're putting everyone that we've ever had in this movie, and we're going to try to make it all work and tie it all together and make this epic scene. Like, I believe, like, the last fight scene was like an hour. Like, no one has a whole climactic end scene of a movie lasts that long.
Right.
And it takes that much time of the movie slot in itself. And then just same thing with No Way Home is fan service. You got your favorite Spider-Man, their favorite Spider-Man, and your favorite Spider-Man. They're all in the same movie, so you're finally getting what you want, sort of thing. And I like both movies, no doubt. Of course I do, but I think overall the narrative of Endgame is a little bit better, but they're not that. It's not like leagues better for me. I think they're similar enough in quality of writing and storytelling and stuff like that. But overall, I do give the nod to Endgame just because it does set up a whole lot more. It does pay off a whole lot more. And it's just more, I think it's more interesting of a movie if you take away all of those Easter eggs and all of those the fan servicey things, because it's time heist, and then you have um just understanding the lore of how Marvel timelines work, and magic, and the stones, and all of that stuff. Like, just what's going on in Endgame is more impactful than No Way Home. No Way Home was more fun, and like I said, it's more payoff of Easter eggs, and just seeing all these characters on screen, seeing the enemies. I love the development of those enemies that were not treated very well in the original, like Sandman and Electro, and so on. Like, that was so much better. And then seeing Willem Dafoe back as Green Goblins, all that stuff was awesome. But I still give the nod just a little bit more to Endgame.
Yeah, I love
Joe.
both movies. For me, it's No Way Home because I am a huge Spider-Man fan, and Salim, I'll kind of piggyback off what you said. They fixed the most annoying thing about the MCU Spider-Man is they got rid of
Right.
him using Tony Stark's tech. They got rid of him,
Right.
being a little, I don't know,
Iron Man Jr. in a
entitled,
sense.
entitled brat a little bit. I mean, he got
Right.
better after the first movie, but they got rid of the most annoying thing and they made him a true Spider-Man. And Tom Holland, for me, I'm a Tobey Maguire guy through and through, but Tom Holland for me is won over as best Spider-Man for me just because he has that kind of, well, first off, he does his own stunts and you can believe that he's actually doing these things. And secondly, he just captures that whole embodiment of Spider-Man. So that last scene where he's sewing up the suit and swings out the window, that's what gets me excited.
Yeah, like I'm
Yeah.
so excited for the fourth movie. Like I can't wait. Like there's so many possibilities they can go. I'm like Joe. I don't know if you've thought about it, but like I'm really hoping that they go like really old school, bring in like the enforcers, like him just going out and battling like under like street gangs and like doing like the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I mean, they can mix in Kingpin somehow. That'd be cool. But
I think it's trending that way.
yeah, but bringing like the Kingpin hires the enforcers, that'd be so cool. Like having like that's like old school Spider-Man. But yeah, I would love that. That's the thing I think about it. And him. It'll be interesting to see him being in college, like how that dynamic will be. Like what, and I'm hoping like. Cause so like the way they ended, obviously No Way Home, and that the post credit scene with the Venom staying around, but I'm hoping that they don't give him the black suit for at least one movie. Like I want the entire movie as him in the regular, the suit that he stitched up and he's swinging around. At least one movie where he's just wearing that suit. And then if they want to do the second one somehow, or the third movie, I don't know how they'll do it. Obviously, who knows what they'll do. But I'm hoping at least one movie alone we get him in the regular red and blue spider suit. That'd be good in my opinion.
I would love that.
Yeah, 100%. So how old were you guys when you saw the first Star Wars movies? I was older. I think I was in high school. Like I hadn't watched them.
No kidding.
No, not in high school. Sorry, not even. I think I was just out of high school. I just hadn't watched them. I decided to check them out one day because I know people had always talked about them, and I just had never watched them. So I decided to check them out, and I enjoyed them. Yeah.
I was probably 5 or 6. I remember my dad got the VHS of A New Hope, and we watched it on my grandma's old TV on the VCR, and it kind of changed my life a little bit. So
nice.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I watched all of them right before The Force Awakens. So whatever year that was, I don't even remember. It's been a couple of years, but literally just binge watched episodes 1 through 6, or went, A New Hope, and then the original trilogy, then the prequels, but that was all right before The Force Awakens came out. So I'm still kind of a newbie. But yeah, that's how I fell in. Will White Tiger make an appearance? I honestly,
I wouldn't be surprised Sony makes a White Tiger movie.
yeah. I mean, at this point, probably. Like I doubt. I mean, there's multiple versions of the White Tiger, so they can go any direction. And it could just pop up, and they can go with the male version, female version. There's so many different versions. But I wouldn't hold my breath on it because the character itself isn't super essential to any stories going on with more popular characters. Like, sure, there are more obscure characters that have shown up, but they still tie into like Miss Marvel having the clandestine show up. They're pretty obscure. They're not too many people know, but they're a character that is associated with a popular one. So that would be the only way White Tiger would make it in, is if they did like a Heroes for Hire or some sort of like a obscure team that could come up with White Tiger on it. I'm not even 100% sure what associations White Tiger has outside of like street level sort of things, but Marvel Disney Plus isn't really focused on street level characters at the moment until we get more Daredevil and Luke Cage and stuff.
Yeah, I just like you say like he's an obscure White Tiger's an obscure character. I mean, a couple of people, men and women have played White Tiger, but honestly, like I wouldn't be surprised. Like you look at what they're doing with the Madame Web, and obviously I don't say that Madame Web is necessarily obscure, but making an entire movie for Madame Web, and they're probably going to do sequels to that. I don't know. Sony, I don't. Joe, what do you think about the Sony Spider stuff they're doing? I haven't been watching them, but I'm just not a big fan.
It's horrible, man. I mean, okay, I don't mind the Venom movies. They're okay.
Yeah,
but everything else is trash. I don't know if you guys heard the Kraven the Hunter stuff about the new game, how he's going to be like a hero, and Kraven is not a hero.
No, so Kraven's like a very complex character because he's obviously a villain, but then there's some parts where he's kind of an anti-hero, but like he's for the most part he's a bad guy. He's a villain to Spider-Man, and he's always going up against Spidey. So like I don't know, like I don't understand what they're doing. I don't get it. Like I don't know. I'll watch them because like I just can't help it. I watch comic book movies all the time. I watch them all. I went and saw Morbius in theaters, so that just tells you how much I watch these movies. Yeah, that was such a bad movie. It's such a bad movie. It's become like we've talked about it, so it's become an internet meme now because of
it's Morbid time.
Yeah, Morbid time. But yeah, it's I don't know. I just. Sony is basically just doing it to make money. Obviously, they don't really care. They don't want to give up the rights to Spider-Man, so they're just gonna keep churning out these movies no matter what. We'll take. I think it was one more question. Well, we'll take two more. I think Quincy had from Cincy had a question, but then also there was another one I thought I saw.
There's one from Muck as well.
About Black Adam, right? Yeah. So would they make a Spider-Man Sinister Six like the cartoon and comics? I don't know, because they are heading towards the Sinister Six, and I don't know what exactly they'll do. So the first two we know for sure, Morbius and the Vulture are going to be part of the Sinister Six because they kind of did a goofy post-credit scene in Morbius that kind of made absolutely no sense at all.
No sense.
But they're doing that. I don't know who else they'll end up making. I don't know if they're going to bring in any of the other because they technically cured the other Spider-Man villains. So
right, I mean, like with this whole the Craven
Yeah,
the Hunter
Craven. Yeah,
movie.
true.
But
Craven.
it depends on what they do, because if he's going to be a hero, like Joe was saying, like he may not be a part of that team, but his brother is in the movie, the Chameleon. He's definitely
That's
not going
true.
to be a hero, so they could throw Chameleon on the Sinister Six squad as
Yeah.
well. So who knows exactly what Sony's got up their sleeve, other than them, because they are just doing whatever they can to cash in checks and stuff like that. But
And
yeah.
you know what's so weird to me? Like I've seen people online defending, and they're probably bot accounts. I don't know. Who knows? They maybe are fake accounts, but like, if you think this is bad, you haven't read the comics, man. This is relevant to the comics. Like, no, it isn't. Like, it's not. No, it isn't. And like people talking about like Madame Web, like someone was mentioning, like, so someone commented, why do we need a Madame Web movie? And he's like, oh, I see you haven't read the comics. It's like, yeah, I've read the comics. Madame Web, like without Spider-Man, is not much of a character. Like, what are we doing here?
I mean, let's be honest. They're making the movie so that they can put Dakota Johnson in the spider suit.
I guess. I mean, but they're also having like Julia there's another spot. Like, so who did they cast else? Not because she's gonna be Julia Carpenter, right? Or no, she's gonna be Madame Web. Julia Carpenter. Somebody did cast.
It's Julia Roberts' niece. I think is what you're thinking about. The what's her name?
Emma
Roberts. Yeah.
Roberts. Yeah.
She's gonna be. We don't know who she's gonna be, but she's gonna be in the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I don't know. We'll see. But we'll see what they do exactly as far as the Sinister Six. They're gonna probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they throw in like one of the Venom. What do you call it? The toxin. Maybe to be in the Sinister Six. I don't know, because if he's supposed to be.
Apparently, Sydney Sweeney is also a part of Madame Web. Apparently, I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's the one I was thinking of, that she's gonna play one of the female Spider-Man characters. I can't remember. So yeah, how hyped are you guys for Black Adam movie? I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, I think Carl is as well, but I am for sure. I like The Rock. I think he's a really fun actor. Like, he makes fun movies. Especially lately, like the movies that he's made, I've really enjoyed. They've just been entertaining, and I'm really looking forward to the Justice Society. Like that's gonna be cool. Like I've been saying, Dr. Fate is such a cool character.
Right.
Like Dr. Fate is such a cool character, so I'm looking forward to that. So I'm definitely really looking forward to it, and I won't be surprised if this ends up being one of DC's best, most popular movies. I wouldn't be surprised by it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Hawkman the most. And for what it's worth, like I think I said this before, I don't think I've seen like any really big blockbuster movies with The Rock in them. So I hope this one is the one that I've been holding out for. That's good. And also just seeing the future of DC, because they have a lot riding on this movie. Because it's been, I mean, Aquaman apparently did gangbusters in the theater, but at the same time, it's not like it was such a, at least not to me, it wasn't such a fantastic movie that has like a huge following or anything like that. Like, I guess people really just like Jason Momoa. I think that's the only reason that movie did well. But for what it's worth, like DC still doesn't have a huge banger of a movie outside of Wonder Woman. Like that's pretty much all that they have. Justice League was mediocre. Batman v Superman's trash. Suicide Squad was trash. The newer Suicide Squad was decent and to good, but it still wasn't super successful because of COVID and just in general people were burned from the first movie, so they didn't really know a whole lot about what was going on with this new one. So I
The
think
Batman is by far the best DC movie in a long time. For me.
right, and the problem with that one is it's not associated with all of these other movies,
Yeah.
yeah. So and it's definitely the best movie that they've had since probably, like I said, Wonder Woman. Um, and that's what that's what they really need, especially with this Superman announcement that's likely happening in the next day or so. They really need some wins just to get themselves some more buzz and to have something more cohesive. Have people have confidence in what they're building and what they're doing. To get away from the Zack Snyder stuff, just to have another unique, well, not unique like Zack Snyder, but unique and cohesive universe.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
Yeah, so we'll wrap up here though. But Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you. You gave a lot of good insight. It was just a lot of fun. If you want to let our listeners and viewers know, obviously you're on the Barroom Network, but where to follow you, what shows you do on the Barroom, and everything in general that you want to share.
Yeah, of course. Well, first off, thank you guys for having me. It was awesome talking comics and superheroes and Star Wars. But if you want to follow me, you can hit me on Twitter at Joe Mandel. Same, you can follow. I am also host on the Barroom Network. I host a White Sox show every Monday night called South Burbs Hitmen. You can follow us at South Burb Hitmen. We had Jake Berger of your Chicago White Sox on the show on Monday night. It was absolutely incredible. Make sure you check that out. And then during football season on Sundays, I host a fantasy football show called Fantasy Football Goon. Every Sunday morning, me and Adam Shaw will get you ready for your fantasy matchup. So you can follow Fantasy Football Goon at FFB Goon on Twitter. And all of these shows have accounts on Facebook as well. I would really appreciate the follow. And that's all I got. But I'm also a big Star Wars nerd, and I love all the superhero stuff. So I really appreciate you guys bringing me on the show. It was a pleasure.
Definitely. Carl, any final thoughts?
Like we've been saying, keep an eye on the San Diego Comic-Con news, and we'll definitely be looking at it ourselves on our own individual Twitters and channels and stuff. So we'll definitely be back to talk about it and anything else that we need to cover. All the sci-fi stuff. We got some stuff to catch up on. So make sure you keep coming back next week.
100%, yeah. Check out obviously all our previous shows that we've done. Like I mentioned, every week we've talked about so many different topics. You can check us out on YouTube on the Barroom Network, and also audio on the podcast platform on the Barroom Network. And obviously check out all the great shows the Barroom Network has to offer, like Joe's show, all the different sports Chicago sports we cover with the Bears, the Blackhawks, the Bulls. My show, the Bulls Gold, that we host. My friend Edward and I do. We try to do one every week. We've just been kind of slacking lately because our schedules have been not able to align as much. But we just had our old Barroom Network friend Chris Amundsen on. We talked about a lot of the off-season stuff that happened and just our thoughts on the Summer League as well. So give that a listen. But, yeah, thank you again for everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate the engagement. If you guys have any other recommendations on what you guys want to see us do, please tweet at us. Let us know what you like. And, yeah, we'll be back next week. Thank you again. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Take care, guys.